Now, what most of us do is we make a path to realize those dreams. So we have a career path. That if we follow that, we'll be able to do something substantial, something important. We have a financial path. And if we follow that financial path, it will make it so that, our needs are met, and we have savings for the future, and we can retire well, and we can help our kids. We have a financial path. We have a relational path. Maybe we get married. Maybe we have a couple of kids. Everything is really cool. We raise them so that they can really be fully functioning, vital, healthy adults, enjoying the world, making a contribution to it. We have a path that we construct in our heads in order to realize the righteous dreams and the righteous ambitions that we have in our heart and that God shares with us. But here's what happens as you move through life. Things like betrayal absolutely shatter that path. That path to those righteous dreams and ambitions gets so shaken, so violated, so devastated that you simply cannot walk it anymore. And what tends to happen when the pathway we've constructed to our righteous ambitions and dreams gets shattered is we're tempted to conclude the dream is over. I will not be able to have that significant life, that happy life. I'll never be able to find that meaning. I'll never be able to have that security. I'll never be able to have that love. I'll never be able to make those connections. It's so easy to conclude because the path to our dreams is shattered. But see, here's the deal. While betrayal might shatter the path we have laid to our dreams, God knows another way. God is not tied to, God is not bound by the path that we have created to see our righteous ambitions fulfilled. God knows how to lead us on another, sometimes windy path, right to the realization of our righteous dreams and ambitions. And when our path to our dreams is shattered, it doesn't mean our dreams can never be realized. When our chosen path to that really best life is shattered, it does not mean that that best life is now impossible, because God is the God of another way. And while our path to those dreams might have to be altered, the realization of those dreams can still be had because God knows another way. He knows another way. So whenever you and I find ourselves dealing with the aftermath of betrayal and that path to our dreams being shattered, we need to realize, we need to hang on to this hope. Our dreams are still possible. We need to hang on to God while He takes us down a different path to the realization of all of the righteous ambitions that we hold in our hearts. In fact, here's the deal. Not only does God know a different way to get there, but God will use that different way to be able to ensure that we can fulfill His purposes for our lives. It's not like a roadblock. Now it's going to take longer. It's going to be hard. God goes, no, now a roadblock. I'm going to find a different path, and I'm going to use that very path to make it possible for you to realize all of my purposes for your life, God says, and all of the righteous ambitions we share for you. Back in the early 1990s, there was a promising young American cyclist whose name was Lance Armstrong. America wasn't really very strong in the international cycling team, but this guy showed a certain measure of promise. And he began to do the tours, not only in our country, but particularly over in Europe. And he began to move up the ranks a little bit. And he began to be one of those people who were mentioned in particular winners of the various cycling tours that took place on the European continent. He was a relentless worker. And he dreamed of reaching the top. But he began to notice that he was feeling unusually fatigued, and he went in for a routine checkup, which led to a series of tests, which led to a diagnosis that he had cancer, testicular cancer. He went in for further tests and a specialist, and they realized that it had spread throughout his body, in his lymph nodes, in his lungs, and even in his brain. The prognosis was very bleak. He underwent very risky surgery, brain surgery. He underwent that regimen of chemotherapy and radiation. And it pummeled his body. Reading his book, It's Not About the Bike, he recounts how absolutely devastated he was physically, emotionally, as he lay there in a hospital bed, a shell of his former self, with his dreams feeling 1,000,000,000 miles away, not even knowing if he'd live, let alone accomplish his dreams. Well, he fought through that. He recovered. And eventually, over the course of the months, he began to get back on the bike and began to ride at a very pedestrian pace. As his strength came back more and more, he began to ride more and more, and he began to dream of competing again. Only this time when he began to compete, there was something different. And here's what he himself said in his own autobiography. He said, "The cancer that ravaged my body also re-sculptured my body. I was 15 pounds lighter. Cancer had ended up giving me a new body, which was actually more conducive to these multi-stage road races in cycling, especially the most brutal of them all, the Tour de France, the pinnacle and champion of cycling racing every year, the Super Bowl of their sport. He also found a newfound toughness, because if he could beat cancer and overcome that pain, what kind of training pain or racing pain could he not overcome? And with this new attitude, this new mental toughness, this new body that had been sculpted by cancer, he entered the Tour de France and won. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 7 times in a row. Unprecedented in the sport of cycling. Who would have thought that a dream-ending thing like cancer could actually be the thing that would re-sculpt Lance Armstrong in a way that that dream could actually be realized? And yet it did. And something very similar can happen, God intends to happen, to you and me whenever we face the sting of betrayal. Is the aftermath of that is actually being used by God to reshape us, to do things inside of us that can ensure that our dreams can actually be realized.